My wife cheated with her boss, then stole $250, $0 from our joint account and set our house on fire to cover her tracks. Now she's claiming I coerced her into signing a fake property settlement overnight, and I think she's planning to disappear with everything. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, honestly. My wife, Lisa, was always the type to act like she had everything under control. She was sharp, confident, and knew how to get what she wanted. We'd been married for 10 years, and for most of that, I thought we had a solid, if somewhat predictable, life. But then, out of nowhere, everything started to unravel in ways I never saw coming. It all began about 3 weeks ago. I remember the night I noticed something was off. She was acting strange, distracted, almost paranoid. Lisa is the kind of woman who's always been a bit bitchy when she's annoyed, but this was different. She was edgy, snapping at me over little things, avoiding eye contact. I thought maybe she was stressed about work or something, but deep down, I sensed it was more than that. Then I started noticing little things, missing money from our joint account, strange texts on her phone, late nights she claimed were work meetings but felt different. She'd come home smelling like perfume I didn't recognize, and her stories about where she'd been kept changing. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I could feel my gut telling me something was seriously wrong. One night, I decided to do a little digging. I'd always been cautious about privacy, but I couldn't ignore the gut feeling anymore. I looked through her phone when she was out at her friend's house. That's when I found it messages from her boss, Mark, that weren't just professional. They were flirtatious, full of suggestive comments and even explicit talks about meeting up. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My stomach sank. My wife, the woman I'd trusted with everything, was cheating on me with her boss. What made it worse was the timing. The messages were recent, just last week, and there were hints of plans to meet again. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't breathe for a second. I looked at the messages over and over, trying to process what I'd just seen. How could she do this? How could she betray me after all these years? I confronted her the next morning. I told her I knew about Mark, about the messages, about her lying to me. Her reaction was classic Lisa: denial, anger, and a whole lot of bullshit. She spun some story about how she was just stressed, how Mark was just a friend, and that I was overreacting. She said I was paranoid, that I didn't understand her, that I was just insecure. But I wasn't buying it. I saw the truth in her eyes, and I knew she'd been lying to me for months. The worst part was her attitude. She acted like I was the one who was crazy, like I was making a big deal out of nothing. She called me jealous, insecure, and then threw in that she needed space because I was controlling. That was her way of turning it around, making me feel like I was the problem. But I knew better. I knew she was cheating. I could feel it deep in my bones. After that, everything changed. I started paying closer attention. I noticed her avoiding me, hiding her phone, deleting messages. She'd go out for a run and come back late, smelling like perfume I didn't recognize. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. How could she do this to me, to us? I kept replaying the moments in my head, trying to find a way to make sense of it all. And then things got even worse. One night, I found out she'd stolen $250, $0 from our joint account. Just like that, she drained our savings, probably to cover her tracks or maybe to run away with Mark. I couldn't believe it. That money was supposed to be for our future, our house, our kids' education, everything. Now it was gone, and what's worse, she set our house on fire the same night, trying to destroy any evidence of her betrayal. I got the call at 2 a.m. from the fire department. Our house was burning down, flames licking at the sky. I rushed there, watching everything I'd built for 10 years turn to ash. That was the moment I realized I was dealing with a different kind of person. Lisa wasn't just cheating. She was stealing, lying, and destroying everything we had, all for some affair with her boss and whatever else she was hiding. I still can't wrap my head around it. How someone could do all that, then turn around and lie about signing some fake property settlement overnight, claiming I coerced her. It's a joke. She's planning to disappear with everything, I'm sure of it. Right now, I feel like I'm standing in the ruins of my life, trying to put the pieces together. I don't even know who she is anymore. All I know is that I'm angry, hurt, and desperate to understand how it all went so wrong so fast. After the fire, everything changed. That night I sat in the dark and watched the flames consume our house, feeling like I was losing more than just bricks and mortar. I was losing my sense of stability, my trust, my entire world. It was surreal, like waking up from a nightmare I couldn't fully remember but could feel deep in my bones. The house was gone, and with it, so many memories, so much of what I thought was our future. All of it reduced to ash and smoke. The police showed up that night, asking questions, taking notes, but I knew they weren't going to find the real answers I was desperate for. Lisa was nowhere to be seen. She'd vanished like a ghost, probably with the money, probably with Mark, probably planning her next move. I couldn't help but feel a mix of rage and helplessness. How did I get here? How did everything fall apart so fast? Over the next few days, I started to piece things together. The stolen money was a huge shock, but it made sense in a sick, twisted way. Lisa had always been good with money. She handled our finances, managed investments, kept track of everything. But then I noticed irregularities in our bank statements, transfers I didn't recognize, and charges that didn't add up. When I confronted her about it, she brushed me off, claiming it was just a mistake or a bank error. But I knew better. I knew she had been secretly siphoning money for months, probably to fund her affair and her escape plan. I hired a private investigator. I needed proof. I needed to know where she was, what she was doing. The day he handed me the evidence, I felt sick. Lisa was with Mark, and they'd been planning to run away together, probably to some beach house or a foreign country. She'd been talking about leaving everything behind, about starting fresh, just her and Mark. I couldn't believe the depth of her betrayal. But what broke me the most was the realization that Lisa had set our house on fire to cover her tracks. She knew I'd find out about her affair and her theft sooner or later, so she decided to destroy everything first. That's some cold, calculated shit. She didn't care if I lost everything, our home, our savings, our memories. All she cared about was escaping with Mark and the money. I've never felt so betrayed, so helpless. And then the lies kept coming. Lisa started calling me, claiming I was coercing her into signing some fake property settlement overnight. She said I forced her into it, that I made her sign under duress. It's pure bullshit. I was never involved in any of that. I had no idea she was trying to hide assets or that she was planning to run. That fake settlement, she claims I made her sign it in the middle of the night, was just another part of her scheme. She's trying to make me look like the bad guy, but I know the truth. I feel like I'm living in some twisted nightmare. Every day is a new shock. Yesterday, I found out she tried to withdraw more money from our account, another $50, $0 before she disappeared. She's probably gone now with Mark, with our money, with everything that mattered. I keep asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I missed the signs, the lies, the little things she did to cover her tracks. What hurts the most is the feeling of betrayal. I trusted her with my life, with my soul. We built a life together, and now it's all gone, burned, stolen, and shattered. I keep replaying the moments when she lied to me, when she brushed me off, when she made excuses. It's like she was planning this for months, maybe even years. I can't help but wonder, did she ever love me? Or was I just a pawn in her game? I'm angry at myself for not noticing sooner, for trusting her so blindly. I should have seen the signs. I should have known she was capable of this, but I was naive. I thought we had something real. Now I realize I was just her fool. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, turned out to be someone else entirely, someone who would betray me, steal from me, and burn my life to the ground. Right now I'm left with nothing but questions and a heavy heart. I don't know what's next. Part of me wants to find her, confront her, make her pay for what she's done. But another part knows that chasing her won't bring my house back or restore what we lost. I just feel so lost, so betrayed, and so damn angry. How do you move on from something like this? How do you rebuild when everything's been destroyed? That's what I'm struggling with now. That's what keeps me awake at night. After everything that happened, the fire, the theft, her disappearing, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My house was gone, my savings drained, and the woman I loved had turned into a stranger capable of lying, stealing, and setting our life on fire just to cover her tracks. I stayed in that state for days, trying to process what had unfolded. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the flames licking at what was once our home. Every time I looked at the bank statements, I saw the money vanishing like it was never ours to begin with. I started to piece together the timeline. Lisa had been acting weird for months. She'd come home late, always with some excuse about work, but I'd catch her sneaking her phone away, deleting texts, hiding her screens. She'd get defensive if I asked about her whereabouts, accusing me of being paranoid or insecure. But I knew better. I knew she was hiding something. I just didn't know it would all blow up like this. I hired a private investigator, not something I'd ever thought I'd do, but I was desperate. I needed proof beyond the texts. I needed hard evidence. When the investigator came back, I was stunned. Lisa had been meeting Mark, her boss, regularly. They had plans to leave the city to start fresh somewhere else. Mark was involved in some shady side businesses, and I found out she was planning to run away with him, taking the money, the house, everything. It was like a betrayal on steroids. She had been planning this for months, maybe even longer. The signs were there, but I was too blind to see it. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she betray me so completely? I'd always thought she was ambitious, maybe a little bitchy, but I never imagined she'd be capable of betraying her vows, stealing our life savings, and burning down our house to escape. What made it even worse was the fake property settlement she had me sign. She told me she was under duress, that I forced her into it overnight. That was her story, that I coerced her into signing some document that gave her half our property, but I know the truth. I was asleep that night and she had come home late, tired and angry. I didn't even realize she'd been up all night working on something. When I woke up, she was gone and the papers were signed. She later claimed I made her do it, but that's just her way of shifting blame. The day I found out about the settlement, I was furious. I'd never signed anything that I didn't understand, especially not some fake document that gave her control over everything. I checked the signatures, mine was forged. She manipulated me, lied to my face and convinced me to sign away our future. I felt sick. I still do. It's like she was planning this entire thing all along and I was just too blind to see it. And now, with the house burned down and the money gone, I feel like I've lost everything. I don't even know if I should try to find her or let her go. Part of me wants to hunt her down, demand answers, and make her face what she's done. But I know that won't bring back our home or our savings. It's just revenge, and I'm not sure that's what I want anymore. I'm exhausted. I keep asking myself if I ever really knew her. Was she just pretending all those years? Or was she always hiding something? I trusted her with everything, and she threw it all away for some affair and some scheme to run away with Mark. I wonder if she ever loved me or if I was just a convenient safety net for her. I keep replaying the moments when she lied, the times she dismissed my concerns, the nights she was sneaking around. The worst part is I feel so stupid, so naive. How could I have missed all the signs? Everyone around me said Lisa was ambitious, maybe a little bitchy, but I never thought she'd do something like this. I always thought she was just stressed or maybe a little unhappy, but I never thought she'd betray me like this. Now I'm left with nothing but questions and a huge hole in my chest. I've started to reach out for help, talking to friends, even seeing a counselor. I need to process all of this. I need to find some way to move forward, though I don't see how right now. Every day feels like a battle between anger and sadness. I want justice, but I also want peace. I want to believe I can rebuild, but I don't even know where to start. The house is gone, the money's gone, and she's gone too, probably with Mark, probably planning her new life somewhere far away. All I can do now is pick up the pieces, piece by piece. I know I need to get a new start, but it's hard to imagine life without the woman I thought I knew. It's hard to accept that everything I believed in was just a lie. The betrayal cuts so deep that sometimes I wonder if I'll ever feel whole again. But I also know I have to try. I have to find a way to pick myself up, even if it feels impossible right now. It's been a few weeks since the fire, and honestly, I don't know how I've kept going. Every morning I wake up feeling like I've been hit by a truck. The house is gone, the money is gone, and my wife, Lisa, she's just disappeared into the wind. I've been doing everything I can to piece my life back together, but it's like trying to build a house out of broken glass. Every time I think I've got a handle on things, another piece shatters. After the investigation confirmed Lisa's plans to run away with Mark, I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let her take everything. Our house, our savings, our future. I started digging into her accounts, trying to find any last-minute moves she might have made. Sure enough, I found out she'd been trying to wire another $100, $0 to an offshore account. That was her plan: run, hide, and start fresh somewhere she could. Be tracked. I also found out she had been forging my signature on some documents, including the fake property settlement. She gotten a lawyer to draw up the papers overnight, and somehow I was convinced to sign them. I still don't understand how I fell for that. I was so hurt that I didn't even question what I was signing. Now I know she manipulated me into giving her control over everything. That document, she claims I coerced her into signing it, was a complete lie. I was asleep, and she was rushing around doing God knows what. The more I uncovered, the angrier I got. I started reaching out to her friends, her work colleagues, anyone who might have heard from her. No one had seen her since the night of the fire. It was like she vanished into thin air. But I knew she was still out there somewhere, planning her next move. She always was a bitchy, manipulative woman, and I'd underestimated her. She's always been good at hiding her true self behind a pretty face and a sharp tongue. I also hired a private investigator to track her movements. The guy found her in a beach town about 3 hours away, living in a small rental house with Mark. They were planning to leave the country within the next week. I couldn't believe it. She was so close to pulling it off. I felt a mix of rage and despair. I'd lost everything: my house, my savings, my wife's love, and now she was about to slip through my fingers forever. I decided I had to do something. I couldn't let her just walk away with everything. I contacted a lawyer and started the process of freezing her bank accounts and filing for divorce. I also wanted to make sure she couldn't take the remaining money or assets with her. The lawyer told me I had a good case, especially since she'd forged my signature and was planning to leave the country. I felt a strange sense of relief, like I was finally taking control of the situation, even if it was just a small victory. But the biggest shock came when I confronted her in that rental house. I drove there unannounced, ready to demand answers. When she saw me, her bitchy smirk turned into a cold glare. She tried to deny everything, but I had the evidence. I threw the documents on the table, proof of the forged signatures, the wire transfers, the fake settlement. Her face twisted with rage, then panic. She started yelling, claiming I was trying to trap her, that I was abusive and controlling. She even had the nerve to say I coerced her into signing the settlement, again, trying to spin her lies. I didn't care anymore. I told her I was done listening to her bullshit. I told her I knew she was planning to run away and I was going to stop her. I called the police, and she finally realized she was cornered. She started crying, screaming, begging me not to ruin her life. But I wasn't about to let her get away with it. I told her she was done, that her lies, her theft, and her betrayal had consequences, that I'd see her in court and she'd have to face everything she'd done. When the police arrived, she was taken into custody for theft, forgery, and attempted fraud. Mark was also under investigation for his part in the scheme. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally stopped her from escaping, but I knew it wouldn't undo what she'd done. I'd lost my home, my trust, and my sense of safety. I'd fought for everything I had left, but it felt like fighting against a tidal wave. Now I'm left to pick up the pieces. The house is gone, the money is gone, and Lisa is facing serious charges. I still don't know what her next move will be, but I do know one thing: she's not going to get away with it. I've learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and some people are capable of incredible betrayal. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'll never forget what she did, or how it changed me forever. It's been a month since I finally managed to get her into custody, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything. The courtroom was a blur of legal jargon, accusations, and Lisa's bitchy attitude. She kept insisting she was the victim, claimed I was abusive, controlling, and that I forced her into signing that fake settlement. She spun her usual lies, crying fake tears and acting like she was the one who got hurt. But the evidence was clear. Her forged signatures, the wire transfers, the plans to run away, all of it painted a different picture. The judge wasn't buying her bullshit. She was charged with theft, forgery, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Mark, her boss, was also under investigation, and I had a feeling he'd be facing serious consequences too. Honestly, I didn't care about him anymore. All I cared about was making sure she paid for what she did. The court ordered her to stay in custody until the trial, and I finally felt like I was getting a little justice. But even with her behind bars, the damage was done. I'd lost my house, my savings, and my sense of security. The house was a total loss, burned to the ground, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. I felt empty, like a shell of the man I used to be. Every day was a struggle just to get out of bed, to keep going. The betrayal cut so deep that sometimes I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. I started seeing a counselor, hopping to make sense of everything. Talking to someone impartial helped a little. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind. How did I miss all the signs? I thought I knew her, trusted her, but she was just playing me all along. I kept replaying the moments when she lied, when she dismissed my concerns, when she sneaked around. I kept asking myself if I was stupid for trusting her, or if I was just too in love to see the truth. Meanwhile, I had to deal with the aftermath of her theft and scheming. I hired a forensic accountant to trace what was left of our money, but most of it was gone, probably hidden offshore or already spent. I filed for divorce, and the process it's messy, but I know it's necessary. I can't keep living in this nightmare, pretending everything's okay when I feel like I've been punched in the gut every single day. The thing that hurts the most now is the realization that I was just a pawn in her game. She used me, manipulated me, and then threw everything away. I used to think she loved me, but I see now she was just using me as a safety net while she did whatever she wanted. That thought is almost worse than losing the house or the money, knowing I was so blind, so naive to her true nature. Despite everything, I'm trying to move forward. I've started focusing on rebuilding my life, getting a new place, starting fresh, maybe even traveling a bit. It's hard, though. Every time I think I'm making progress, I get hit with another wave of anger or sadness. I keep reminding myself that I deserve better than someone who would do all this to me. I keep telling myself I'll come out of this stronger, even if right now that feels impossible. Most days, I feel like I'm just surviving, not really living. The betrayal has left scars I don't think will ever fully heal. But I know I have to keep going. I owe it to myself. I hope someday I'll look back at this and realize I survived something that almost broke me completely. I want to believe I'll find peace again, even if it takes years. Right now, I just hang on to the hope that one day I'll be able to trust again, trust myself, trust others, and maybe, just maybe, find happiness beyond this nightmare. It's strange how life can change in a matter of weeks. One moment everything feels normal, routine, predictable, and the next your world shatters into pieces you don't even recognize anymore. I used to think I knew Lisa, that I understood her. Turns out I knew nothing. She was a master manipulator, hiding her true self behind a pretty smile and sharp words. I was just too blind to see it until it was too late. Now I'm left with the aftermath, an empty house, a shattered bank account, and a heart that's been ripped apart. The court case is over, her charges are filed, and she's behind bars, but the scars remain. Every day is a battle to stay afloat, to remind myself that I deserve better than the betrayal she handed me. I've learned that trust is a fragile thing. Once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. And love, sometimes it can be just as dangerous as a loaded gun. Looking back, I realize I was caught in a nightmare I never saw coming. I was naive, trusting, maybe even a little too hopeful. I always believed that honesty and loyalty mattered most, but Lisa proved me wrong. She was willing to lie, cheat, steal, and burn everything down just to keep her secrets hidden. I've come to accept that some people are capable of incredible betrayal, and they won't hesitate to destroy everything in their path. As hard as it is to admit, I've come to see this as a lesson. A brutal, painful lesson about the importance of vigilance, about trusting your gut, and about recognizing red flags before they turn into irreversible damage. I've also learned that healing is a process, slow, painful, and often nonlinear. Some days, I feel like I'm making progress. Other days, I'm overwhelmed with grief and rage. But I keep going because I know I have to. I've started to rebuild my life piece by piece. I've found a new place to live, taken steps to secure my finances, and even reached out to friends I'd lost touch with during the chaos. Most importantly, I'm learning to forgive myself for trusting her, for not seeing the signs sooner. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what she did. It's about freeing myself from the prison of anger and regret. I don't want to carry this pain forever. In the end, I realize I can't change what's happened, but I can control how I respond. I can choose to let this define me, or I can choose to learn from it and grow stronger. I've decided I'll choose the latter. I'll rebuild my life on honesty, integrity, and the lessons this nightmare has taught me. And maybe someday I'll find someone who truly values trust and loyalty, someone who won't betray me the way Lisa did. For now, I'll keep moving forward one day at a time. I'll remember the pain, but I won't let it consume me. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even after the darkest storms, there's always a chance for a new beginning. I just have to be brave enough to take it.